Yeah, I think you want to keep it red.
I'm keeping it red.
I
It's
know
red.
green means go. Red, but I do think red is the choice on the on-air light.
It's on.
Is it illuminated now?
Of course. Am I on the air? Yeah, sure is.
It's amazing the tool. What a tool to be able to just to tell you when you're on air. That's an amazing tool.
I know now
What a gift.
that my mic's on. No tapping.
Now you know.
Gibbe still taps away
No,
in there. He's in Tapperville, not me.
Yeah.
I moved out.
He's tapping it.
Loaded up the truck.
Yeah.
Headed down to Lightville. I'm the mayor.
You're like Frank Costanza moving into Del Boca Vista.
Del Boca
You're gonna be
Boca.
at the shuffleboard court.
Yes. Have you seen the outtake of that scene when he announces that he's moving to Del Boca Vista?
I'm sure I have years ago.
It's about 48
everything with him is so
attempts where he's like, Del Boca Boca.
Take, because he
Del
can't
Bica
get
Buca.
it. He can't hit it?
No, he can't hit it. Del Bica Buca.
An underrated episode is when Kramer moves down there and just dominates.
Of course he does.
Like he's so spry.
He's thriving. He's
So
thriving.
spry down there.
Yes.
Thrives, yeah. I'm merely Beau. He is the great Z. Welcome into Cleveland Browns Daily on a Friday edition of the program. How did the wind treat you last night in the early morning?
You know what? As a wise man once said to me, when it's breezy, swing easy. And so I was just living the dream. Sleeps like he's loved.
Sleeps like he's loved. Gibby, did you have a wind wake up this morning?
Not really. Like I came out,
Really?
it was windy, but like it wasn't horrible.
The one thing, though,
On the high plains up here, it really whipped. It was whipping.
it was whipping around, so I can't. I did sleep like I was loved, but I was awoken this morning because the winds were at some point so powerful that I have all this stone outside my house for what I hope to be a great pool in the
your
summer,
projects.
and it blew a boulder, believe it or not, because there were grading issues and the
Jeez.
right down, boom. So a boulder was blowing around. So that was like it was a tumbleweed,
That's
but it was a boulder. Terrifying.
Turns out it was a boulder. That is takes a lot of wind
Boy, does
to
it.
blow a boulder.
You better believe.
That's almost tornado force.
Well, it's
better
wind
believe that's a
combined with a
90
grading
mile an hour
issue.
wind.
That's all.
Oh, the grading issue helped,
Right.
and it maybe a round
Got
boulder.
it going down.
It
It's a
got
route
some
perfect.
momentum.
It was spherical. Done. Yeah.
A sphere of some sort, spherical.
Yeah.
Where do you rank? And it was pretty tremendous out here on the Ponderosa. What do you make the? Where do you rank wind on a frightening natural disaster scale? So you got your earthquakes, which you were very familiar with where you grew up, which that's
number
a
one
dicey
because I lived
mean,
through it. I've never been in a
land
tornado.
moving.
That would the ground not moving is something that is taken for granted for good reason, and then when it is not,
So between that's a problem.
it's pretty scary.
Yeah. I've been in a tremor in Southern California, but never an
That's on the old
earthquake.
Loma Prieta.
Gibby has experienced. That's right. Gibby has experienced Tornado Alley, so we have that, and then I've been in both the forest fire, and I've been in the hurricane. The hurricane's terrifying, but you get pretty fair warning on it. Like they'll tell you leave.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do, but you got to go. Where the tornado and the hurricane and the earthquake, the sheer randomness is that's the problem there.
The earthquake is no warning. The tornado, I feel like you get
None.
no warning either. They can see the hook start to form. Maybe if you happen to be watching the radar at the moment, right before. But I'll turn it over to the expert, the tornado
Happens
chaser
quick.
himself, Gibbe.
The worst ones, the tornado at night.
Dark.
Because you can't see it and you don't know where it's going, and radar is always behind in real time.
All that seems pretty scary to me.
Yeah.
All natural
It is.
disasters. When
They're all bad.
it says disaster
they're
in the word,
disasters.
it's typically not a party.
Yeah.
Yesterday was one of those days where I still have the Weather Channel on. I'm watching it. I'm fascinated because I knew
does
yesterday
have
was
the
going to
Weather
be a
Channel.
big outbreak day.
Yeah. Also because there's no tournament
Yeah.
on a Friday.
Yeah, stupidity at its finest. The NCAA
Outrageous.
continuing to screw the
So
pooch.
I asked some. I don't know if any of that you can say. I asked somebody about that this morning about why it was, and the explanation I was given was that the NCAA wanted the same amount of time off for the teams who played like in the first four type games theoretically. So they wanted that same amount of time off in between, like if you played. It makes no sense because, of course, last year in the tournament you play on Sunday and then you would have played on Thursday. This week they played on Monday night, but they didn't play Tuesday. So now they backed it up 2 days instead of one. Like, why don't you just play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, like you did the week before?
That's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. You don't need to move it 2 days, which is
and you play
crazy.
Friday, Sunday both weeks, and you play Saturday, Monday both weeks. Or in the good old days, it was Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday.
Thursday.
You just repeat it. What do you mean the same time? That doesn't even make. Now that
makes no sense.
That's erroneous. Erroneous.
Yeah.
Erroneous.
Yeah. It's a bad job. It's a really bad job out of them. I was trying to think because I think there's actually some really bad news on the Monday. I think the Monday games are late.
It's a debacle.
Can I interest you in a little breaking news?
Is it good?
It involves your 49ers.
Okay.
Go, Gibby.
Adam
Break the
Schefter,
news for us.
Blue check mark, filed at ESPN. The Dolphins trading the number 3 overall pick to the 49ers for the number 12 pick, a 2021 third-round pick, and first-round picks in 2022 and 2023.
Kyle likes a quarterback.
Hello.
And my guess is it's not Wilson.
You're guessing it's Fields, right? That's what you think?
I would think it would be Fields, yeah.
And that means...
Or Lance, either one.
I'm going to call right now, Jimmy Grapes headed to New England. That's going to be the next domino.
Well, we were wondering because it seemed like they were operating like they had a quarterback other than Cameron Newton.
There it is.
More Schefter. The 49ers did not trade up with one QB in mind. They traded up because they're good with the options that will be there at number 3. 49ers now square in the QB mix but are holding on to Jimmy Garoppolo and have no plans to trade him per sources.
Well, by the way, if you're the Dolphins now, you have all the ammo in the world to get Deshaun Watson, don't you think? I mean,
no.
No?
I think you're going to go with Tua. And I think Armando Salguero wrote about that yesterday, and Orlovsky's been on it hard. I think they're rolling with Tua. I think you had a better chance to get Deshaun Watson with the number 3 pick than you do over this cavalcade of ones that are going to be anywhere between wherever and wherever. Like,
would be,
to me, the 3rd pick is quarterback replaced.
But my thought would be Houston would be doing that because they wanted Tua. So now you could do Tua, and you're trading. You basically could trade Tua for.
I don't think Houston does, though. I don't think Houston wants Tua.
That's the holdup. In my theoretical, what I was saying is, if you're the Dolphins now, you could have traded Tua, and you just picked up
what you're saying.
two free first-round picks. He said, here, I'll give you 2 on these 2 that I just picked up in 2022, 2023 for Deshaun Watson. So you basically would all you net be doing is trading Tua for Deshaun Watson, which would be a huge win for the Dolphins.
Right. I see where you're at.
That's
yeah, but I don't think Houston wants – yeah, I like it. It's a good point out of you. Now I would say clearly Kyle likes Fields or Lance because everything says Wilson's going 2.
Yeah, so he likes – well,
so
if he likes them both.
I hope it's Fields.
Then he's –
I hope it's Fields because I think it would just be a tremendous – that's your best chance to succeed if you're Justin Fields is right there.
Oh, my goodness,
in that spot with that offense. That is your best chance to succeed going forward. It's a bold stroke, and it's bold to not go all the way to 2 as well because then you have the pick of the litter.
Agreed, and Garoppolo's gone. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. New England would seem likely. I'll throw a wrinkle at you. What about Denver?
What about Houston? Casario's there.
And then where does Deshaun Watson go?
You deal with that.
Interesting. I like this. This is
what about this? What about Garoppolo and the 3rd pick to Houston for Deshaun and throw in a defensive player from San Francisco?
You could do that, but then if you're Deshaun Watson, you're going, granted, to be with Kyle and be on a good team, but you're now going to a team that, again, has put itself without a first-round pick for basically 3 seasons in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just like it.
The Rams
intrigue.
move.
Let's go.
I like it, too. It's fun, yeah.
It is fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
You know what else is fun?
Well, go.
Well, go ahead. If you're going to still talk football. I'm going off football for a second.
No. Go ahead. Go off football. What do you have?
Well, I got from Ashley Hamlin and Adam Crawford down in Atlanta, GA.
Ashley and Adam.
Sent us, first of all, an invitation to their nuptials. So congratulations, May 22nd of this year. So congrats to them. We'll see what we can do. And then they sent me this beautiful number here, which was Adam's 30th birthday. They all wore the shirt with my face on it and a Smokin' Jay Cutler cigarette saying, "Let's go." So as you can see now, I'm back to being clean shaven. It's the same face.
You're all slicked up.
I'm all slicked up. Miss K got her hair done. It's her birthday tomorrow. She got her hair done for the first time since the pandemic. So she is, first time in a year, she actually went in and got it done, a little color, a little blonde. So I said, you know what? I'm going with my summer look as well. Beard's gone.
Slick it up.
Let's go.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So let's go to this wedding. What do we got to do?
Why
let's get
not?
down there.
Yeah.
Have some fun. Mix it up.
May, Atlanta, Al B.
What is it? How close to, obviously you and I are happily married men, but from a if let's use Wedding Crashers, is that kind of what it looks like? Minus the the looking for the ladies. It's that type of
you
fun,
and I,
right?
yeah.
Isn't it?
And
you and I at a wedding.
I will play
like
the role.
You Unleashed at a wedding.
What a time we'd have. Dancing grannies. Everybody's having the best time ever.
Yes.
And I will vow to pay homage to Vince Vaughn and make sure that I'm eating and talking at the same time for the entirety of our crash.
The whole time, for the entire time we crash.
Yeah, I'll eat and
Little
talk
flavor.
simultaneously.
I think you're, I would think that, in all honesty, I would say that if there was an industry, and maybe there is, of like a professional wedding attendant and reception attendant, that your fee on that would be among the highest fees ever for non-musical acts. Like, I think, like, just for people to pay you to go to, I think you are the life of the party. I just think you would bring pure joy to any occasion. And I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm not Wedding Crash.
Oh, you're a little wallflower,
I wouldn't be pure
aren't
joy.
you? Little bow in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I think I make some nice comments. I think there's some good comments and stuff, but I'm not dance guy. I'm not
I'll
that
get out
guy.
there
I
and
mean,
dance.
I know you will. That's what I said. You would be
We'd have
a
fun.
first ballot Hall of Fame wedding reception guest. I can't imagine anyone I've met in my life who I know well who would be more fun at a wedding than you. I feel like every time that you go, it's the best.
I do have a lot of fun at weddings. This is true. I'm not going to
It's a
say
lot.
that I'm I'll say my buddy Minister Beatbox, who Gibbe and I were FaceTiming with prior to the program, he's a great wedding guest because he's about 6'7". He's, I think, the best comedic dancer I've ever seen. Because he's so long and lanky, and he can move. He's great at it, and he has a great theory that I want to tell you about, because you said, I make a few good comments here or there. Listen, a few good comments is all you need. He is what I call, I dubbed him in the year 2006 the best room worker east of the Mississippi. And because he would find one or two great stories or nuggets or jokes or bits, and then he works the room. So he goes cluster to cluster with the same material, and then back around on round two. Everybody's having the great time. Everybody thinks he's hilarious, but he's only had to tell two great bits.
He's telling two stories.
Yeah, but everybody
thinks two stories, and
he's working the whole room.
Oh gosh. What a veteran move.
Such a veteran move.
Veteran move.
Savvy.
You don't need that much material. Just jump in, jump out. You're in and you're out. Yeah, I like that. I like where his head's at on that one. All right, let's get into the OBM Hot Topics. Ohio Business Street preferred copier provider, your Cleveland Browns, for all the X's and O's. .com. AB, what do we have now?
No,
have more things?
Your sound was gone for a second, so Gibby and I looked at each other with great concern.
Am I okay now?
Yeah, it was. It kind of skipped.
You were going to the moon for a second, it sounded like.
No, okay. Well, I mean, there was wind.
There was wind.
There was wind out here.
Boulders.
Who did the interview with AB? Who did the interview with Boulders? I thought that was your house. What was it you or Sir Andrew? Who did it?
It was not. Twas not I. I don't know, Gibby. Do you know? I'm guessing it was a Building the Browns interview that they took excerpts from. Would be my guess.
Probably was during CBD, and that's why that happened.
Yeah, not me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
I'm like Paul Rudd. Not me.
Not me. Let me ask you this. What do you think is the most valuable time to speak to an NFL general manager over the course of a year, and what do you think is the least valuable time to speak to a general manager? Because I would say the least valuable time to speak to a general manager, where you'll get nothing, is prior to free agency and prior to draft.
Sure.
That's a nothing. If you are a small B and you're trying to unearth nuggets,
stop.
Nothing. You're not going to get anything. If you want to have fun with and reflect on previous seasons, then it can be a nice one. Then it's not too bad. So what is the least valuable time to speak to an NFL general manager or coach, and what is the most valuable time?
Well, on the record, certainly it is what you just laid out, prior to big decisions being made. And the best time is probably right after those decisions are made, because you might get some insight into the decision-making process and get some real detail on the players.
Post-draft,
post-free agency, kind of when we talked to Coach Stefanski, you got an insight and a feel for what he liked about the guys that were here. I really think where you can get the most, though, is in obviously any setting that is not on the record and you can inquire about things and get real answers. On the record, our guys are so good, you're not going to get real answers anytime, ever.
No, never. Not ever. No. Mm-mm. Yeah. They're elite. They're Mutombo.
They're elite. And their ability to stay so steady is a real tremendous, I think, asset to our organization, because we talked about the 3 Ps all the time. They're prepared. They've got a plan and a process to implement the plan. You can lose your implementation capabilities when you get too emotional, and then that causes you to deviate from the plan. They don't do that. They are right there, and I think those guys are such an asset, having them in a room, because when they sit down and talk to somebody, kind of like recruiting, which is what the free agent period can be, you're going to want to be a part of it. Part of the reason John Johnson called it an opportunity of a lifetime is certainly the roster that's been assembled, but a lot of it's the belief in the organization and the people running it.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. All right, we will go around the league, including we'll revisit this pretty big blockbuster trade that happened in regard to the NFL draft involving the 49ers and the Dolphins. Plus, at about 10, 12 minutes from now, Z will go one-on-one with Hollywood Higgins. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. And the Hoff in the second hour. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily right here on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Winter weather was devastating on your home, which means it's time for you to call the pros. My guys at Perfect Power Wash. Dirt, mold, and algae accumulated on the exterior of your home leads to costly damage, but PPW's safe process and professional techs help remove these contaminants to keep your house looking protected. Call the pros today, 888-860-WASH. Save 10%. Take the advantage of priority scheduling on this. The whole process, it really couldn't be easier. One call does it all. The professionals at PPW will provide a free quote. They will schedule your service. If you want a perfectly clean home this spring, call the pros at 888-860-WASH or visit perfectpowerwash.com. Remember, the early bird gets the savings on this one, so call 888-860-WASH today. Using the promo code BEAU, save 10%. You are welcome on that front. Big news out of the NFL here in the last half hour. Adam Schefter with it first, that the 49ers trading some picks to move up to number 3 in position to draft a quarterback, we would assume, at the top of this draft. The assumption I would have to be, if you make this deal, is that Wilson is gone, and so then it's a matter of you must really like Lance or Fields, one or the other.
So here's Gil Brandt said this: Justin Fields is all over the place in terms of where teams have placed him on their boards. Highest I've heard is top 5, lowest round 4. My guess is 49ers aren't moving up for him, but instead for Trey Lance. That was a sentiment echoed by Daniel Jeremiah. Said, I think that to me, it points a little bit to Trey Lance on the 49ers blockbuster move, but he said he would also not rule out the more mobile Tom Brady as the object of their affection. Does not feel at this point like Fields might be the guy, but maybe that's good smoke from the 49ers. Ross Tucker with an interesting point says Zach Wilson better be the real deal for the Jets to turn down that offer.
Yeah. It's a great point. And that's a fantastic point, because clearly you would reach out to them first.
Right.
If you're the 49ers, you'd reach, Robert Saleh, you'd reach out to the Jets first and say, hey, are you going to keep Darnold? If so, we'd love to move up to 2. Here's the package. And if you're saying no to that, then you're taking Wilson too if you're the Jets.
Correct.
There's not going to be a better deal than that one, is there?
I wouldn't think so. That is just absolutely – it's a big, big haul. And, right, I'm kind of surprised. If I was the Jets, I would say, okay, why wouldn't we take that deal?
They must not like Darnold. And they
At
must
all.
like Wilson. At all, yeah. So then that's probably smoke. All the stuff around Darnold the last month or so is probably smoke.
So where's he going?
You connect those dots.
I still think Denver's a possibility for him. I think Denver wants to improve their quarterback situation. They've got so much talent there on that offense. Yeah. You're talking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure Zach Wilson's better than Sam Darnold.
Yeah, but sometimes these guys, honestly, they can get ruined.
Yeah. I mean, Tannehill's a great example, although I think the perception of his play in Miami is a lot worse than it actually was.
Definitely. There was a stretch where he was the winningest quarterback in his division in
right.
the games that he had started, and that is the division included, Tom Brady. This is going.
Kyle, what do you think he would want?
He wants somebody, and people always say that it's about mobility, and it's not. I mean, you think about the people who have been super successful in this offense. Matt Ryan's not somebody you call mobile. What he wants is a guy that is smart. He wants somebody that is meticulous in their work, that is meticulous in their ball handling, and somebody that knows how to go through their progressions and deliver the football where it's supposed to go. I mean, that's what he values more than anything. Now, Trey Lance, I don't know a lot about him. Is he more thrower than runner?
No, I mean but he's a dual threat guy. I mean, he's similar to Fields in that sense. He's so raw. I mean, he played one season and one start, and that's it. I think he's got a bigger arm than Fields, but he's not as proven. I mean, Fields on the field. If you take out the Northwestern game in the Big Ten Championship where Fields was injured and really pressed, there's not a whole lot of bad tape on Justin Fields. And people get critical and they say, well, he doesn't get through his progressions. Well, the 2 receivers he was throwing to most are both going to be first-round picks in next year's NFL draft. So why wouldn't you just throw it to one of them most of the time?
Right.
So, sometimes you don't need to get to your third if your first 2 reads are good. So I don't know. To me, the Lance thing is pretty wild to me. The track record on drafting a quarterback with that little sample size. The last guy that had this with was Trubisky, where it was just 1 year as a starter, and he was a starter at North Carolina. I mean, that's
Correct.
a Power 5. So, he was seeing Clemson and Florida State and, teams that had pros. How many games has Trey Lance played against pros? I mean, we saw what Justin Fields did against Clemson the last 2 years. It seems like I'd be interested in that.
Sure. You sure would be. Boy, this is gonna be interesting. I think this is
fun though.
This is so fun. I love to see this. This is gonna be fun. Rappaport saying just now a moment ago, the 49ers plan to keep Jimmy G, believing they have a playoff-ready roster and he's the one for it. We'll see if teams can change their mind. Well, that's obviously
I don't think that's true.
That means we haven't received an offer good enough yet for Garoppolo.
There's no chance that that's true. There's no chance. If you felt you had a playoff-ready roster, then you would use the picks to amplify that roster and get closer to being a Super Bowl champion. You wouldn't trade up to draft a quarterback if you feel like you're close. So
did
they
Kyler
feel like
Murray
they can't win a Super Bowl.
How much did Kyler Murray play in college? Didn't he only play a year?
No, he played at Texas A&M too. I mean,
Okay.
he played a year at Texas A&M, sat for a year behind Baker, and then played the 1 year. But he did play at Texas A&M too. Not a lot, but he did play and was a starter at Texas A&M first. But boy, and by the way, even still, that is 2 Power 5 schools.
Yeah.
And 3 years in 3 years in 2 Power 5 systems, and 2 years with Lincoln Riley, who's one of the great offensive minds in all of football, and behind Baker. This is a year and 1 game 2 years at North Dakota State, and 1 game, and only 1 year as a player. It's not the same. That's not the same. It's risky. It's tough. Who knows though? People love his physical traits. You can't argue with that. They certainly do.
Here's what Lance Zierlein has to say. And by the way, isn't it great that we're not worried about this? Isn't anything that we even have to think about. So Zierlein says his analysis and his NFL comparison is Josh Allen. 1 year starter who dazzled, mature for his age, will be just 20 at the time of the draft. Rare dual threat quarterback in that he's tasked with setting zone protections and reading the full field. Coaches rave about his football IQ and film work. That sounds like Kyle liking that for sure. They believe it will come to the league more football savvy than most of the quarterbacks in this draft. Tape shows very average arm strength, but velocity should improve with better lower body drive. Recognition of coverage danger is a plus. He's currently more of a yellow light quarterback who needs to find a green light risk-taking mentality to become a playmaking talent in the NFL. An offensive coordinator willing to blend his run-pass talent with play-action attack could get the most out of Lance, who should become a very good NFL starter. Football junkie, etc. Play fake aficionado from under center, causing defenders to consistently bite.
There you go.
That sounds a lot like Kyle.
So that would seem to fit, certainly. It's interesting. It's going to be awesome. It's going to make it more interesting when these type of things happen. And I think you can clearly see that the Jets are staying at 2 and going to take Wilson. So that the draft will start at 3 going forward.
Yeah.
Around the league, the Buccaneers are now returning all 22 starters from a year ago. Leonard Fournette signs a 1-year deal there. Gibby writes crazy. In a sense, from a big picture, it is, but it's also not. These franchises in these tax-free states and places, no state income tax places, if you just get the right quarterback who people want to win in a year where a lot of 1-year deals are done anyway, they can quickly become. I always thought that with Miami, like if Deshaun Watson was down there, people would go there just to play there.
Yes.
It's got so many things that are appealing. So I think Tampa Bay's got Tom Brady. There's going to be guys taking pay cuts left and right to play there.
Yes, that's what this league is becoming, especially in this kind of a year where the cap is down. This is going to be much more of a ring chasing than a dollar chasing year. Next year, I think you're going to see that normalize itself with people chasing dollars. But I think there always are people who want to win that Super Bowl. That's why they play this game, and you're going to have that. By the way, here's something that Shanahan said after the Niners got waxed by Josh Allen and the Bills last year. Somebody puts on Twitter, which I think is an interesting quote. How I evaluate everything is always changing. Things change, people change. You start to see you can win football games with any type of quarterback as long as they are good enough, and you can be good enough in hundreds of different ways. So I evaluate quarterbacks in terms of trying to find people who can have a chance to be one of those elite type guys, and there are a lot of different ways to do it. You can see now that there are plenty of different ways, so I don't think that'll ever change. I don't think you have to have one certain thing you're looking for. You're trying to find a guy who's better than about 98% of the people on this planet or in this country, and when you find that, you get him and you adjust to him.
There you go.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's not done.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I just thought the Eagles have now traded the 6th pick in the draft to Miami for 12 and a 2022 first-rounder.
I don't know what's going on, but
so
now Miami's back into 6.
Yep.
The Eagles go to 12 and pick up a 2022 1. So the Dolphins must either want Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase. They must think they can get one of those guys there to pair them, or Devontae Smith or one of those guys.
Full
right?
details, the Eagles have traded pick 6 and number 156. This is from Field Yates. 156, is that a 3rd round? 4th round?
4th, probably, with comp picks.
The Dolphins trade pick 12, 123, and a 2022 first-rounder.
Wow.
So Miami.
That's a pretty
Miami.
That
Miami
sounds good
picks
for
up.
Philly.
So what Miami picks up is the extra 2 1s, right? Because they still have 2 1s from
Miami.
No, just 1 1.
They went from 3
picked
to
up a
6
future,
and picked up a 1
and picked up a first
in 2023.
23.
That doesn't feel as good as it did before.
No.
That's, to me, if I'm the Eagles, this feels like a massive win if I'm the Eagles.
I feel like I'm the Eagles. I just won.
Yeah.
I'm moving back 6 spots, and I have 2 1s and 22.
Hold on a second. So the Eagles
what did the Dolphins just do?
The Eagles moved down 6 spots and picked up a 1 in 2022. The Dolphins moved down 3 spots and pick up a 1 in 2023? And they think that's better?
That's a win somehow?
No, not. A 2022 first is more valuable than a 2023 first.
Correct. Weird.
Gil Brand on Twitter. NBA, Aaron Gordon to Nuggets. NFL, hold my beer.
Yeah.
That's basically, yeah.
I don't know what Miami's doing. I don't understand the business Miami's doing. To pick up a 2023 first-round pick to move back from 3 to 6.
And they get a 2022 third, according to Adam Schefter. He just updated that. That seems
I would have kept the
me,
2022 one.
I'm surprised
you
by
23.
this. The Dolphins, they're saying, want Jamar Chase, and the Eagles are now out of the Kyle Pitts. 49ers source today, Jimmy is here to stay. He is our guy this year. That makes me feel a lot more like they're drafting Trey Lance. And they're gonna pat Mahomes in behind Garoppolo, like Mahomes was behind Alex Smith, which, by the way, seems like a reasonable thing to do.
How many more years of guaranteed money is Garoppolo under? Does he have 1 more year and then they can?
So basically, what Albright just said is that the Dolphins are still going to get the person that they wanted to draft at 3, and so to them, they got a free first-round pick to still draft the guy that they would have drafted at 3.
So then they must feel all 4 quarterbacks are going. The Bengals, they must think, are going to take
Pitts or Penei Sewell, and
Penei Sewell, yeah, and that would leave them with some
Chase
combination of a receiver or Pitts or whatever.
But
yeah,
they've got Gesicki. Not that you wouldn't take Pitts if you have Gesicki, but it does seem like they want Jamar Chase, right?
Or Devontae Smith or one of those guys. I mean, I don't know how you can be sure that the Bengals don't want Jamar Chase. He put up pretty good numbers with Joe Burrow at LSU.
Yeah, I think they want a tight end. They've got T. Higgins and they've got I can't think of the other guy's name right now.
They don't have anybody who can get deep, right? Taylor Boyd.
Yeah. Joe Burrow, to your point, is pushing for the Bengals to draft Jamar Chase.
I'm sure he is. Yeah, Jamar Chase most people thought would have been the number 1 receiver in last year's draft. So I'm sure he is. I mean, he takes the top off the defense. And one thing that they had last year in Cincinnati when Burrow was healthy was they didn't hit much on the deep ball. Well, he had a lot of those with Jamar Chase at LSU.
So the Falcons still sit at 4. So the thinking is that it goes Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Fields, or Mac Jones at 4, and then the Bengals, and then they will take – the only two teams that look like they're probably not going to take a quarterback are the Bengals and the Dolphins in the top 6.
Yeah. Unless I don't know that I think the Falcons would trade out. I don't know that they would take a quarterback when they – it seems to me like they're trying to get the most out of Matt Ryan. Like give him one more shot.
Who knows? Schefter's saying the Dolphins back in the top 6. The Eagles have an extra first-round pick in 2022 and could have 3 ones next year if the Carson Wentz pick from the Colts turns into a 1. So remember, they got the haul they got for Carson Wentz. There's a conditional if he is their starter, I think all year, that turns into a 1 as well. So the Eagles could have 3 ones. So they got out of Wentz and could be in a position to really rebuild. And they wisely drafted Jalen Hurts last year. They could be in a position to turn it around pretty quickly.
Yeah, they really could. All right, good stuff. Exciting stuff in the NFL here on a Friday. Exciting when you get to talk to Hollywood Higgins. We will do that coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
historic run that we haven't did in 20 years, and I believe 20 years, and I got a good reputation with Baker. All the receivers are back. Defense is loaded. What else could I want? You know, I'm here, man. I'm here for the journey. I'm here for the wins. I'm here for the losses. I've been through the losses. You know, I've been here through the 0-16, and it's just like to see the fruit of my labor perish and to see it just unfold in my eyes, man. It's unbelievable. So I'm excited to be here, and it was just a no-brainer to come back, bro.
And it's awesome. And I'm personally, obviously, thrilled that you're back. And, you know, I was going to mention, you're one of the few guys that were here. You're one of the few guys now on this roster that experienced those dark times, 0-16. And so to be a part of that playoff team, I know how much it meant to you. But let's just talk about your season, your journey. It ended where you would have thought Hollywood was the man from day one. That's not how the season started. And yet you persevered through that. You won the admiration of Coach O'Shea, who's told me on numerous times how much he loves you and your work ethic and your passion, and Coach Stefanski as well. You know, was that a really rewarding season for you, just personally, knowing how it started, knowing how it finished, and what role you played in the Cleveland Browns turnaround? 16.2 yards a catch, Hollywood, career high, 12 yards a target. That's one of the most efficient numbers in the league, over 2 yards per route run, one of the most efficient numbers in the league. You caught, 38 of the 39 catchable passes thrown to you? I mean, you were as good as it gets out there on that field this year.
You know what? I always had that underdog mentality. I've always been an underdog myself as well. And, you know, I feel like every time I step out on that field, I got something to prove. You know, I got something to prove, and I'm not done, bro. I'm not done. It's always been like that through high school, through college, and in the NFL. You know, like every time I get my chance, it's like, well, all right, here it is. It presented itself. Let's go out and do what I was made to do. You know, and for me to say I was made for that big moment, I was made for that big moment. How about that, bro?
Yes.
I just got that mentality, bro, that I'm not done. I'm not finished. And there's so much more for me still left out to show the world.
And you know, you think about big moments, and I can think of so many big moments that involved you, but I'll go back to, you know, week 7, Cincinnati. You guys get the ball back down, you know, needing a touchdown, 1:20, no timeouts. You made 2 huge catches. DPJ gets the touchdown, but you on the second and third plays of that drive, monster catches. And I look back at that drive personally. I mean, I was so emotional after that because it felt like a real turning point. And I think for you, it was a kind of a turning point because from that moment on, you just absolutely took off. But when you go back and think about that drive and those catches that you made and just kind of what kick-started from that point forward, especially for the passing offense, did you also feel like that was kind of a turning point for not only the team, the offense, but for you as well?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, it sucks and that was the game Odell went down. It
Right.
sucks for one of your teammates to go down, but it's just like Chad O'Shea, he did a hell of a job of making sure each receiver, whenever we're out there, we know what to do, and we do it at a high level, you know. And it's so ironic, man, and it was tragic that O went down for the season, and I had to step in and I had to fill in his shoes. You know, he does a hell of a job. He's a star player for us.
Yeah.
I had to fill in those shoes, and I did. I got the job done. Let's just say that. I got the job done, and that's what was expected of me, and that's what the staff expected of me as well. So, it wasn't nothing phenomenal that I had to do. You know, I just do what I've been doing for the past, let's say, 14 years of my life. Just play football, bro.
Yeah.
And that's what I was out there doing, bro. Just playing football and having fun. So that's all it is at the end of the day. And like you said, bro, whenever the ball come to me, I make the plays. So that's what I was doing.
And you did it. You know, I don't know if this shows my age and predates you, I'm sure, but there used to be an old series of Nike commercials. They had the great actor Dennis Hopper would do these kind of voiceovers, and one of them was about Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin.
and the Cowboys quarterback and star wide receiver. And he said, they have ESP, man. And just like they were in each other's heads, they knew what was going on. And whenever I talk about Baker and you, I reference that commercial. You should YouTube it one of these days, ESP, Michael Irvin Schwagman, because it's a great ad, first of all. But it started, I'll remember in Baker 2018 in that training camp, it was Baker to Hollywood, Baker to Hollywood, Baker to Hollywood every single day. And then we saw that as that season unfolded. What is it, that bond that you guys have where it's almost like you're seeing the field through the same eyes?
Back when he first got in, he had something to prove, obviously. First round draft pick, you got a lot of pressure on you, and being with the twos, that's something that he didn't want to be, somewhere he didn't want to be. At the time, I believe Tyrod was starting for us, if I'm not mistaken, and we both that was something that we both didn't want to be. Let's just say that. And we just kept working. And I was always in his ear, always in his ear. He's somebody that I still come to this day. Like, I just texted him last night. I text him just about anything, even if it's not football. We have a relationship outside of football, and I feel like part of that, my decision making was a no-brainer, because why would I have to go somewhere else and try to get in with a good relationship with the quarterback and learn a new playbook? It was just like, why go through that, bro? Like,
right.
You got what you need here. I got it, bro. And it's just, it was a no-brainer, bro. So yeah, man, at the end of the day, looking back, man, honestly, bro, I'm just glad to be here, and I'm still like overwhelmed, and I can't wait till this season just pop off, bro.
I wish people could see this, since this is just going to be on radio, but I wish they could see your smile. I could feel it through the Zoom, just like how happy and emotional you are. And I mean, you talk about that relationship with Baker. You basically announced you were coming back to the Browns by tweeting you and Baker having a back and forth on Twitter. That's when all of a sudden everybody's going nuts. Like, oh, it's happening. Roll out the red carpet. Let's go.
Yeah. Baker, honestly, Baker knew like 2 days before I even announced it. I was like, Baker, I'm going to do it. How you think we should do it? He was like, you come up with something and I'm going to be all for it. He said, how you feel about if I tweet you? I said, man, let's do it, bro. He tweeted me. I said, let's run it back.
Let's run it back. Yeah.
Run it back, man. Here I am.
And by the way, that's exactly what you guys are doing on offense. I mean, you go room to room to room to room. In fact, I think it's unprecedented. Same quarterback, same backup quarterback, top 3 running backs, top fullback, same starters on the offensive line, same 4 tight ends, top 5 receivers, all the same. I mean, you guys are literally running it back. And you think about what this offense became without an offseason, in the midst of COVID, without practicing, and now you guys are going to have a full year together. Literally, I mean, better than anybody all the change you've seen year to year to year in the Cleveland Browns. To run back your entire offense is crazy, and it's got to be exciting.
Bro, honestly, we made that run with all the people, like you said. Everybody is coming back, and there's no reason I feel like we shouldn't go even further this year. So, bro, honestly, we all have that winner's mentality. We all want the best for each other, and we all want to win at the end of the day. So why not run it back, bro?
I know. And I know I thought you guys were in that receiver room. What did Jarvis and Odell say to you once you told them that you were making the decision to come back?
Honestly, them guys are training, bro. They're training, and I've been in communication with both of them, and I've been talking to Jarvis, talking to Odell, but Baker, I was on pretty heavier than Juice and O, but I was talking to those guys during the process.
It's awesome. And it's just going to be, like you said, how fun this is going to be. Is this the most excited you've ever been for the start of a season? Because I'm just like, get us to September. Like, let's go.
Bro, hell yes, man. Honestly, I can't wait. It felt good just being in the facility today, working out, seeing all the strength training guys, seeing the janitors again, man, it just felt good being back in that building. Can't wait, bro. That's all I can say.
All right, so I'm going to end this with a very serious question, because this is a serious one to me. Is it possible to top the red carpet celebration that we saw in Tennessee this year? Or is that as good as it can possibly be? I know that we want more, but there was something special about the play, the catch, the walk, and then the slide from your quarterback.
Man, you know what? I don't know if Baker is still that athletic, bro. Because of the offseason.
He may have peaked right there.
Yeah, man. He might have been at his peak, bro. Honestly, probably the only thing that can top that is if one of the guys go get a real camera from one of the photographers on the side or something, bro. So I don't know, man. I guess we'll see. And I have to take one of the fines for the guys, Like, I don't know, bro. Let's see what we can do, though.
Well, listen, hopefully, as things are trending well with COVID, there are going to be a lot more of us back on the field. I might be able to be back on the field, and maybe I'll be able to have a camera somewhere for you.
Yeah. Store it over there on the sidelines or something.
Exactly. Well, Hollywood, I feel just your excitement, your energy. You know how much I love you and how happy I am that you're back and that you're happy and that this team is back. And just, as I said, can't wait to see what you do. Can't wait to see what this team does here and what's going to be a hell of a lot of fun in 2021.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Thanks for having me.
Gosh, you love to see that. I mean, just pure joy. We talk about pure joy on this program all the time. That was pure joy. Hollywood Higgins, man, can't wait. We'll be back with a lot more Cleveland Browns Daily right after this.
Are you on the injured list? Elk and Elk can help you get back in the game. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk and Elk's a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. And now a little thing we like to call a visit with the Hoff.
Yes.
Pure joy on a Friday.
Hoff.
Hoff, we saw your image that you tweeted out. It's so great to talk to you. We saw there's a lot of things we want to get to with you beyond football, which is actually the things we're most interested in. So you tweeted out an image, and looking at the image, it looks to me like you are sawing wood.
Chainsaws.
Do you have some chainsaws out, Hoff? Are we on the farm?
It's so good to
Where
be
are
with
we?
you. It's so good to be with you. The saws are out. It's that time of year. The snow has melted. Time to open up those wooded trails for the family adventures coming up in this spring and summer. It's just a great day to be outside, right? And before you talk to the big B's, you always got to fuel up a little bit. You can't be
What are you
bringing
fueling
no
with
Sally
there?
ass. What'd you say?
What are you fueling up with there? What are you snacking on there?
Oh, just a little protein bar, It's all about protein on the CBD hour.
You got to get your G's of P, Bo. You got to have your grams of protein. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, you got to get that 1 gram per body pound. I mean, that's just the way it rolls when you're using full contact radio like you guys are.
Hoff, how the heck are you? We miss you. We know you had some world travails. How's it all been going? The travels, everything. What's up? What's up in Hoffland?
Man, yeah. Well, all I can say is I miss you guys too. It's so good to be talking again, and it has been. I wouldn't say like a Big B busy, but definitely there were some Big B moments in my off season. We didn't get an opportunity to talk about it, but one of my idols, one of Nathan's idols, gave me kind of a cool shout out. The Rock, about a month ago,
follows you on Twitter. Highlights. Yeah,
followed me back on Twitter, which I don't even know if he runs his own Twitter, but judging by how hard that dude works, I actually believe a little bit that he actually manages probably his own social media account, or at least that's what I'm going to tell myself.
I believe so.
It's
I believe he does.
I believe it. It's been a big offseason. We just got back from St. Thomas. We were down there with the family for a little spring break, which was very much needed after a February in Wisconsin where we had 9 straight days where it didn't give above 9 degrees, and the only reason we didn't get to 10 is because it got to 10 degrees on the 10th day. It's been a good winter, but spring is here, and I'm happy because we're talking Browns football now.
We are.
Draft right around the corner.
The draft. Who even cares about this?
I got
draft?
questions about
Who cares?
trails.
I want to know about
questions
St.
about
Thomas.
these trails. I want to. My brother lived in St. John for 6 years. My aunt and uncle have a place down there. I want to know where you ate. Yes, I want to know.
Are
if
you
saw
bathing with
what type
spider
of
monkeys?
you
What's
did.
happening?
Oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about. I had no idea you guys had that St. John connection. Yeah, we actually stayed on St. Thomas, and then we did 2 day trips where we took a boat and boated over to St. John, because St. John is kind of like the quiet island, but they've got better snorkeling and better hiking. And so we went over there and did this really cool hike with the kids where we landed at Reef Bay Beach, and then we took the Reef Bay Trail kind of up the hill a little bit into the forest and visited these petroglyphs with these super old rock carvings from like 1,200 years ago. And then it's right at the base of this waterfall. It's just a gorgeous hike. And then we finished at Lampshire Bay Beach, which is a really good snorkeling area. We got all right. I've had some fun moments in football in my life, but one of the coolest moments in my life, had all my kids there with me except the baby. And the boat captain was like, look over there, it's a sea turtle. Watch where he goes down. And so we all jumped in the water, put the snorkel gear on. We swam over there, and we got right on top of this sea turtle that had dove down to the bottom where there was like some seagrass and about 15 feet of water. And we're all basically just kind of floating on the surface looking down on the sea turtle like it's an aquarium. And this thing is like bigger than any snapping turtle I've ever seen. I mean, it has to be like 100 pounds. And it's just sitting there on the bottom, and it's using its fins to just kind of move the sand back and forth, and it's eating whatever little like organisms or leafy products it's enjoying, probably a lot of protein certainly on the bottom. And all of a sudden it kind of comes up to the surface because it's coming up for a little bit of air, and you can see this like 3-foot remora fish that had been sucked onto its belly that you couldn't see because we were on top of it. It was unbelievable. I mean, it's hard to explain, but doing that and then having your kids there with you, it was really special.
That's awesome.
Hoff Cousteau. We got to get this guy a nature show. Let's go.
The snorkeling down there is insane. It's insane how good it is.
Incredible. Oh, snorkeling, the food, the boating. I mean, they have all these beach bars around the islands, and a lot of them aren't really fully open because of COVID still, but they've got the beach chairs, spread out far enough where you can go there and enjoy some conch fritters and a good burger.
Good conch fritter.
Obviously the
Sure.
fish down there, and they even got pretty good steaks. We had some surf and turf one night that was that would have made Nathan very proud. So it was a tremendous trip. I would definitely go back.
My brother, after he's done with college, went down there and played cocktail, and he bartended at the beach bar in St. John, right there in the main place where you take the ferry over.
Yeah, Cruise Bay.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh God.
That beach bar there. That's the name of it. That's the place he played cocktail there for like 6 years.
Oh man,
That should have been a reality show.
Yes. The people down there, it's like a bunch of Jimmy Buffett, Kenny Chesney, like salty sailors.
Chillin', brother.
It's a really interesting group of people. It's like, have you ever been to Key West? A lot of the same like characters are kind of down in the islands there. It's pretty cool, pretty special. Definitely worth checking out at some point in your life.
Was it hard to convince your kids to get on the plane to go back to Wisconsin?
Yeah. They're like, wait a second, we got to go back to the Midwest? Like, we're not cool with that. Wait, homeschool and snow? No, thank you.
Oh, Hoff, the adventures of the Hoff, just fantastic to hear about so we can live vicariously. Tremendous. Now, Hoff, while you were gone, Andrew Berry was a busy bee bringing in some talent here to the Cleveland Browns. What do you think about the moves that have been made and kind of the remaking of this defense at all three levels?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Andrew Berry, and I kind of think of Andrew Berry as like this great modern hybrid GM because it always seemed like there was two very religious paths that GMs had to go upon, right? They were either like the win now GM where they always wanted to spend in free agency and they were going out and being active and making trades. And then you had like the old school of Ted Thompson where no trades, no free agents. All I'm going to do is just draft the best player available and I'm just going to live with the consequences and I don't care about anything else. And I think both of them have their flaws. And what has made me really impressed with Andrew Berry so far is he's kind of been in between, right? He's been very good with the drafts. He's been very good at finding good value. But also he understands that you can use free agency and you can use the trade market to better your club if you can get guys at positions of need. And that's exactly what he's done this offseason. We talked about the number one position of need probably was in the secondary, right? We wanted to add a safety. We wanted to add a secondary player. And what does he do? He goes out and he signs the best safety available, who not only is going to bring incredible performance on the field. We know what type of player you're going to get on the football field, but a veteran leader who is calling the defense for the Rams. So what that tells me is he's going to be the perfect guy to be in that DB room with all those young, talented DBs that we have to be able to help kind of educate them and show them the intricacies of playing in the NFL that maybe a coach might not even understand. And so I think you add a tremendous player like that at a position of need who also kind of fills that leadership void in your secondary. And it's like a grand slam. It's beyond a home run. And it's just things like that Andrew Berry and his staff have done that have impressed me so much that he acts like he's a GM that's been in the league 30 years without like the crotchety religious strictness of I'm either going to be this guy or that guy. He's very fluid. And that's probably his best characteristic so far as a GM.
And Hoff, I don't know while you were swimming with the sea turtles and the spider monkeys if you saw this quote because I got a chance to talk to John Johnson after it became official, and he said something to me that even every time I say it out loud, it gives me kind of chills and goosebumps. I asked him about the reports that he had received offers for more money from other teams, and he confirmed that was true. And he said the following to me, which was, "Why would I chase a few extra dollars when I could miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime to play for the Cleveland Browns?"
I don't think I ever heard anybody say that when I was playing for the Cleveland Browns. That's all I can say. I mean, God, as a Browns fan, how does that not just put a huge smile on your face? Because we're like a little bit of the envy of the NFL right now. How many teams would love to be in our situation with a franchise young quarterback, an incredible group of talented young players that Andrew Berry is slowly getting locked up, and then he's adding this great defense Oh, and by the way, we've got this great young coaching staff led by Kevin Stefanski, who was the coach of the year last year, in a city that can't get enough of its football team. And I think that's one thing that gets overlooked when you get all these pencilhead pundits talking about, well, free agents, they want to go to Florida because it's tax-free, and they want to play in Miami and New York City, in these big markets. No, they don't. They want to play for a fan base that has great passion like the Cleveland Browns, that has great history and tradition, where they can win and they can do it in an enjoyable manner, with a bunch of other young dudes that they like to play with and they like to go to work with and they like to go to battle with every Sunday. Like, those are the things that are more important to a free agent than if it's in Florida or New York City. Now, I will say maybe that was the case 10 or 15 years ago when these contracts were a lot smaller and the salary cap was smaller. But the money that most of these guys are making, the decision becomes less about who's paying me an extra $1 million and more about quality of life, ability to play with guys they love, ability to play in a system that uses them to their advantage, and an ability to make a legacy in a town like Cleveland, in a franchise like Cleveland, with such an incredible history and such a bright future.
Yes.
Hoff, an incredible thing based on how and everything you said is true, and we're seeing that in the guys who signed here. Nathan and I kind of zeroed on this in the last week or so too. I think it was about a week ago when we first started talking about it. If we do nothing else, we can field right now, because of what's been done, a team that is demonstratively better defensively. You're running it back offensively. You're bringing everybody back. So as good as we were offensively last year, you got a whole offseason, everybody together. You're running all that back. Sure, you want to add another defensive end, and maybe it is Jadeveon Clowney. They reportedly had a really nice meeting this week that both really liked.
Hofstradamus.
You might need to add another corner. Hofstradamus picked it a year ago.
It's just early.
A year ago, nailed it. What I was getting to, though, was Andrew Berry, in a little over a month, can go to the NFL draft and not have to draft a starter and not have to draft a franchised cornerstone, but can let the draft come to him. You think of all of the drafts where it's been our Super Bowl, where we've had to get a quarterback, we've had to get a left tackle, we've had to get a defensive end, had to get somebody who is a future starter, franchise hero of the franchise, savior of the franchise. There's none of that. You're now in the position that the Steelers have been in so many years, that the Baltimore Ravens have been in so many years, where if somebody that's great on your board that's maybe not a position in need falls to you, you can just take them. That's a remarkable spot to be in.
It's such an advantageous position because it gives you leverage. Like in a negotiation, when you're buying a home, if there's three people that are all putting in offers, like you don't have the leverage anymore. You got to do what the other person wants in order to get the house if you need it. But if you don't need it, you can be patient, and that's the situation the Browns are in. And I think they're in a really good situation because you talk about, all right, maybe what's their most needy position so far going into the draft after they've addressed kind of the secondary. It's defensive line, right? But the defensive line position, it's not like playing left tackle or quarterback where you need exactly a certain square peg to fit into that square hole. Like guys in the defensive line, you can get a stand-up guy like Jadeveon Clowney. He can play defensive end. Myles Garrett can go play three technique. He can go to the other side. Like those guys are so much more interchangeable. And what that allows you to do is that allows you to find guys that can fit that don't necessarily have to be exactly what the market is paying top dollar for. So you can find better deals. You can pick up guys like potentially Jadeveon Clowney, and then you can still draft a defensive end because there's a lot of ways to get those guys in the field because they substitute, and your ability to play a bunch of different positions is never greater on any position group in the NFL than it is on the defensive line.
Hoff, are you channeling Hofstradamus? Do you think that what is your sense of this Clowney thing? And I don't know if you saw kind of just that nobody on our organization at the top had ever met him face to face, and vice versa, obviously. And so they wanted to get down, and it sounded like he very much liked AB and Kevin Stefanski. No shock there, and Chris Kiffin, and they very much liked him. Do you think that is something that could come to be? And you think about Tack McKinley and Miles and Clowney out there. You could have a lot of fun out there with three defensive ends on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it happen. I know that everyone kind of recently has poo-pooed Jadeveon Clowney because they think of him as the number one overall pick or the guy a few years ago who potentially could have been the highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL, but he's not that anymore, and that's okay. Like, the Browns don't need that guy. If they can get good value from a contract standpoint, they can get a guy who can still be productive. And like I was talking about on the defensive line, you got that flexibility, especially with a guy like Miles. Like, he's such a pivotal piece because of his ability to play inside or outside. His first sack in the NFL, I was standing on the sideline and I watched, and it came over the guard on third down. They moved him inside the defensive tackle. So when you got Tack McKinley and potentially Jadeveon Clowney or maybe another guy, like your third down packages might be all defensive ends, or might be 3 Ds and a defensive tackle, or you can put linebackers in there. Like the flexibility of, as long as you have athletes, you have good football players on your defensive line, you have a really good defensive coordinator in Joe Woods who can find a way to take advantage of whatever that offense's weakness is, and that's all you want. You want to be able to find the matchup and win that matchup. That's what Bill Belichick has been successful for 20 years plus as a defensive coordinator, and that's what makes the great defenses in the NFL. When we played against Rex Ryan, when he was in Baltimore and they had those great defenses, they just got a bunch of good football players on their defensive line and their outside linebacker crew. They put them on the field, and they found creative ways to get one-on-one matchups with their good dudes on our bad dudes. That's what defensive line football is all about.
It certainly is. What did you make of the other moves around the AFC North? The more we thought about it, and we've been pretty emphatic about it this week, that we should be the favorites in the division. Obviously won 12 games last year, so that's a big part of it. But all the things we did defensively add to it. Baltimore has had trouble adding receivers. They've offered guys, and guys have taken less not to play there. They did add Zeitler, which we like a lot, that deal with Zeitler. From their perspective, we like that a lot. I think that shores up the middle of their offensive line. Obviously, Pittsburgh's had a tough time. Cincinnati really wanted to keep their own guys, especially Carl Lawson, who ended up going to New York, but they replaced him with Hendrickson. What do you make of the division and the moves that were made in the division, Joe?
Well, I think you highlighted an important point. Like, for as good as Lamar Jackson is and as good as that offense has been, if you're a receiver, like those guys, they get paid and they get legacy based on catches and touchdowns, and that offense doesn't really feature a lot of passes to the receivers. I mean, that was one thing that my colleague Steve Smith at the NFL Network laments all the time about Greg Roman's offense. He's like, I would hate it if I was a receiver in that offense, because they don't throw to the receivers all that much. They throw the ball, but it's a lot of times tight ends, dump downs to the running backs. Occasionally it's down the field. I think maybe that's why Hollywood Brown hasn't developed maybe as much as we sort of expected. But that's a huge thing when you're talking about free agency. And the situation in Pittsburgh, like Big Ben's maybe got 1 year left. And then after that, who knows? And so for a receiver, way more than like we were talking about, if it's in Florida, a tax-free state or a big city, like for a receiver, he wants a good young quarterback that's going to be throwing him the ball for a long time. Browns have that. There's not a lot of other teams in the AFC North outside of Cincinnati that you could say that. So I think we were going into the offseason as the team in the best situation, and I don't think anybody could even come close to what we've done so far in free agency by signing new guys and, for the most part, keeping our own guys. And I thought that Hollywood Higgins sticking around is one of those ones that's not going to hit the major news wire, but it's going to be huge for the Browns because of what he does in the locker room and his connection with the other receivers and Baker Mayfield.
Huff, how crazy is it that you are bringing back your starting quarterback, and your backup quarterback? You're bringing back your top 3 running backs. You're bringing back your top fullback. You're bringing back your top 6 offensive linemen from a year ago, all 4 tight ends, your top 5 receivers from a year ago. You are running it back, and you're running back the entire offensive staff as well. Zero change other than figuring out who's going to be the second swing tackle to replace Kendall Lamb. Zero change on offense, unless there's maybe another addition somewhere. Is that it's unprecedented, certainly in my time here, but what kind of an advantage is that? How do you build on that? And have you even heard of anything even remotely close to that?
Well, it is unprecedented, especially when you couple in the situation that the NFL is dealing with right now, where the salary cap is shrinking for the first time that I can ever remember. I mean, forever and ever, NFL GMs and front offices, they budget for a certain increase in the salary cap every single year. And so when they're signing contracts, they're looking with their contract guy out into the future that, hey, we can pay X number of dollars more based on sort of the inflation of the cap. And when that doesn't happen, you see situations like we saw with New Orleans. They had to purge half the roster or re-sign guys and do all sorts of gymnastics to save some of the guys that they could. But it's just so rare to be able to have a really good offense like the Browns had this last season and to be able to completely roll it back. I know that the Buccaneers are doing that. And, you know, it's a little bit of funny accounting, the way that they've been able to do that for the next year. and they're sort of mortgaging their future a little bit, you know, a little monopoly going on right there. But they don't care. I mean, they won the Super Bowl. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, let's try to win another Super Bowl, and we don't care if we stink in a few years. But the situation the Browns are in, I think you got to give the management a lot of credit for the handling of the cap and the handling of contracts that they have had. But also, I think this is some of the benefits of, unfortunately, the lack of success from 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when the Browns did cut a lot of guys and they saved a lot of salary cap space that they could roll over into future years. They drafted a lot of guys because they were trading for draft picks, and rookies are cheap. And so when you got rookies, especially a rookie quarterback, you're able to continue to keep the band together for several years because you never have to deal with a bunch of veterans that are really expensive, even in a year where the salary cap gets squeezed.
Hoff, we've kind of gone over, defensively, and again, we don't think we're done yet, and maybe it is Clowney, and maybe it's the draft where those things get added to. But Joe Wood's finally going to get to play the defense that he wants to play with the talent there. On offense, and I this is what I was curious about because I asked this of Nathan earlier in the week. With everybody coming back, coaching staff, players, all the starters, all of it, put yourself in the mind of Kevin Stefanski. What does he want to do better offensively in 2021 than we did in 22, or rather in 2020? Because we're really good a year ago. So what does he want? What's the next level of this offense? What is it?
You know, it sounds so generic, but really when I think about, like, from an offensive lineman's perspective, what's the difference between good and great? It's consistency. And the Browns had a good offense last year. But if they want to be great, if they want to be a Super Bowl contender, it's about being consistently good and minimizing those errors that you make typically when you're a young team or when you're a first time in that offense team. And so I think especially based at the beginning of last season, there was just a lot of mistakes, turnovers, dropped passes, mental errors, things that fans don't even see, that all of a sudden you start limiting those. Let's say you just take 10 or 15% of those mistakes and you don't make them. And all of a sudden the next year, you're a heck of a lot better as an offense, and you become much more difficult to stop because you build momentum on offense. And all of a sudden you build the confidence as an offense, like every time we go out there, we're going to score a touchdown. And I'm going to be shocked if that defense has any way to stop us, because really the only person that's going to stop us is ourselves. And I think when you're able to kind of limit some of those mistakes that you have been making and you become more consistent, you build this amazing confidence. And that's what we saw with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, right? They started out a little bit slow. I mean, halfway through the season, everyone was saying, oh, Brady's done. This offense, they can't figure it out. And all of a sudden they started building a little more consistency. They stopped making as many mistakes. They built confidence in themselves. Then they go on the road and they beat the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints, and they go beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like, it's such a game of confidence that if I had to say one thing, it would be consistency and confidence, and I think they go together in the same bucket.
Hoff, you know, Kevin Stefanski, we've seen what he's done, the culture change that's happened when he's been here. He did something really cool this week and had every assistant coach on his staff and all the way down to even quality control coaches, everybody, go through interviews and go through press conferences and training for that. And so I got to talk to a ton of the guys on this staff. But what was cool about it is, as he told me, he said the first time I ever did a press conference was my first press conference as the offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings, and it would have been nice to have had some reps with that. And so the commitment to development, I think, from him is so awesome. But one of the people I got to talk to that I hadn't met before was the assistant offensive line coach, Scott Peters. And after talking to him, I was like, you and the Hoff would just be fast friends because you're similar energy. You reminded me a lot of you. What an intelligent, articulate guy. And when you think of combining Bill Callahan, who's probably, the most venerable offensive line coach from scheme and technique and understanding of what defenses are trying to do and how to orchestrate run games, et cetera, and then this new age, what I would call it, technique mastery, and he's talking to me about where your thumb is and where the angle of your elbows and how that is directly linked to how much force you can apply. And I was just thinking about your 85,758 item checklist that you did pre-snap, and I remember you talking about where your toe was and that. I thought this guy, you and Coach Peters would just have a field day talking about all of this stuff.
Yes. Scotty Peters, friend of mine. Actually, him and Bob Wiley were really tight.
Right.
I don't know if
That's
you guys
what he
got to
said.
talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I was rehabbing a knee surgery, and Bob brought Scotty around and a couple other guys to watch practice, to kind of talk about his methods. They were really tight. And so I got to pick his brain and became friends with him because I love listening to him. I love talking, right? He talked in such detail.
Yeah.
And the thing that I respected the most about Scotty was that it wasn't that he learned these techniques from some old school coach. And I think that's where in the NFL game, why it's kind of a dinosaur in training methods and techniques in a lot of ways. And it's only just kind of now changing, is because typically it's a game of like militaristic toughness. Like, we're going to win because we're just going to be tougher. And I'm going to do exactly what the guy that I've worked for did, only we're going to be tougher than that guy. And I think Scotty took a different approach, was like, he just kind of scrubbed his mind clean of everything he'd learned, and he just tried to rethink the whole position. And I got to give Andrew Berry a lot of credit, because I think the front office did a great job when they hired the assistant coaches, because it wasn't the traditional method of, and Paul DePodesta as a strategy guy, I don't know whose ultimate strategy was, but I think he had a lot of say in this. They said, like, let's look at this a different way. Instead of just hiring the head coach and then having the head coach hire all of his buddies, which, that works a lot, but let's think about how we can make that process better. So we're going to hire Bill Callahan, who's probably widely regarded as the best, if not one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL for a long time. And instead of saying, hey, Bill, hire your son or hire your buddy, why don't we say, let's hire somebody who's going to disagree with Bill without being disagreeable, who's going to bring some different thoughts and different techniques and maybe a different perspective on things. And that's going to make both of them better coaches, rather than just having a yes man in the room that can help with some of the busy work. Let's actually bring somebody that's going to make Bill Callahan a better coach. And I think it's that thought process, and I think that perspective to approaching the problems that were in the organization that has made the Cleveland Browns so many light years ahead of the rest of the teams in the NFL. And that's just a microcosm, talking to a guy like Scotty Peters and his relationship with the offensive line and Bill Callahan and how he got here.
Huff, we'll get you out of here on this one, get you back to your wood chipping.
Yes.
Give me the one meal. You can go back to any meal that you've had on vacation.
I like this.
Whether it was the trip to Florida, the Caribbean, anywhere you've been. Give me the one meal that if you could go back and have that meal. What was the perfect meal you had?
Yeah, man. My brain only works 1 week at a time from back in my football days. So I'm going to take you back to St. Thomas. I'm sitting up on a deck looking over Megan's Bay, which is one of the most famous bay beaches in the world. It's on like the north side of St. Thomas. It's incredible. I'm looking at Shad Khan's 300-foot yacht. I'm 6 stories up on the cliffs. I can listen to the beach and the waves below me, and I'm eating a giant fillet and a lobster tail with asparagus and garlic mashed potatoes. And so it wasn't a top 5 tasting meal in my life, but when you put all that together, it was pretty special. It was definitely the highlight, I think, culinary-wise, this offseason so far for me.
One follow-up. What was the Hoff's cocktail of choice or beverage of choice while in the Caribbean?
That's a good one. So we actually had a little bartender that would come over to the villa every afternoon. His name was Tom. Shout out to Tom Day from Minnesota.
Tommy.
He's a salty dude. Tommy, he works at Dingy's, which is like this little beach bar on Water Island right across from St. Thomas. But anyway, so he would come over every afternoon, and each day he would have a special drink that he would kind of make in a big batch for everybody. And on St. Patrick's Day, he made a patty whacker, which I want to say a bushwhacker is like a famous drink down there. I'm not a big tropical type drink guy.
Sure.
More of like a beer and liquor guy, a little bit of wine. But he made a patty whacker, which was a bushwhacker, but he put like peanut butter and cinnamon in there. And I couldn't drink more than one of them, but it was such like a refreshing afternoon cocktail /snack /protein meal that it was just a very memorable experience. And then I can just close my eyes right now and I can smell the salt splashing up from the ocean as I'm sitting there sipping that drink. And to me, drinking, eating, conversations, it's all about like the emotions and like the senses that come back. And so I close my eyes, I dream of that patty whacker.
Yes.
On that note,
yes.
Get back to your wood, brother.
Hoff,
so great.
Even though we can't see you, give him one of the The celebration that
sure.
you do at the end of a fine interview. What an interview. What a legend. What a human. The Hoff.
That was great stuff, guys. Thanks for having me on. I can't wait to come back, and I hope to see you guys for the NFL draft in Cleveland. And I'll post some pictures since we talked about it on my Twitter.
Listen,
maybe
we'll be at the point, Hoff, where we'll all be maybe get a vax, break a little bread. Who knows?
Oh, gosh.
We could be getting back to real life, baby.
Get the band back together, Hoff. Yes.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
The great Joe Thomas, the great Hoff. Joining us on the Fifth Third Money Line. A reminder, all guests who appear on Cleveland Browns Daily do so via the Fifth Third Money Line. Fifth Third Bank making Cleveland Browns Daily a fifth third better. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Obsessing over something like football can be a problem. If you're obsessing over gambling, it can be dangerous. Do something to take your mind off. If you want some tips on what that could be, go to keepitfunohio.com for great ways to keep gambling fun. And be sure to catch the latest edition of the BPA. It's presented by Key Private Bank. It's out wherever you get your podcasts. Go to youtube.com/Browns. The great Clooney joins the Ibs boys to re-rank the top 10 positions of need with free agency a little more than a weekend. USA Today's Mark Schofield joins as well to discuss his post-free agency mock. The Hops pictures are sensational. I mean, what the picture? Go if you haven't. You're listening to this on a pod later on today, or if you're listening live and you're in a car, go check it out. It's an incredible place. The Virgin Islands are an incredible place, my friend.
Oh, the Hops.
Thriving.
Man, I hope to be there someday. But I got to tell you, Friday's a day that is typically, associated with joy, but what a joyous episode this has been. I mean, we've had so much fun.
I don't know how you can have more fun.
Hollywood couldn't have been happier to be back with the Browns. That was a pure joy interview. And then the Hoff just comes out here with 30-plus minutes of Hofstradamus joy and delight.
Amazing.
Incredible.
I had forgot that he called Clowney last year.
Yeah, Hofstradamus.
He didn't say when. He just said
it's going to happen. So he's not wrong.
It's going to happen. No, not wrong.
He's still not wrong. Tell Clowney never plays football again. The Hoff is still in the game.
That's right. That's right. For those just tuning in, it has been a wild afternoon in the NFL, an absolutely wild afternoon in the NFL that included a lot of trades. The Miami Dolphins at the center of this. So initially they trade the number 3 pick in this year's draft to San Francisco for 12 and a couple of ones and a 3, ones in 2022 and 2023. They then, within minutes, flip the number 12 pick to Philly in addition to their own their own first-round pick in 2022 for the 6th pick in this draft. So initially, when you and I were reacting to this, we thought, well, that takes some of the luster off it. But then once you consider what happened here, Miami basically picked up an extra first-round pick to go from 3 to 6 and still get the skill position player they want, or whether it's Pitts or Chase, they'll get one of them with that pick. And honestly, they could get the pick of the litter if somehow 5 quarterbacks go in the first 5 picks, which doesn't seem to be out of the question. You could get the exact guy you want at number 6. So that's the thinking there. I think the Eagles do a great job here as well. If they're not interested in 6, they have really recouped a lot of some of what put them behind the 8 ball with the Wentz deal and all of that. They're going to have a lot of picks. Could have 3 number 1 picks in 2022, and all of that from going from 6 to 12. So that's what's happened. It has, and in the background of all this, Zach Wilson did his pro day and threw. I mean, you watch the hyperbole, but it's a hose. The kid's got a hose.
Yeah, he can sling the pill around the yard. There's no doubt. The Dolphins, now that we got shocked in the moment, but pretty incredible what their haul is. They have 4 picks in the first 50 picks this year, 3 of the top 36 picks this year, 6, 18, 36, 50. They also have 81, so they have 5 of the first 80 picks, which when you think about the fact there are 32 teams in the NFL, they are outkicking their allotment at that point. And they took, let's not forget, they only end up with Laramie Tunsil because of the video of him in that gas mask bong that's leaked by one of his family members the night of the draft. I mean, an hour before the draft, something crazy like that. He falls. Yeah. They take him. They have now turned Laramie Tunsil into multiple first-round picks across multiple seasons. It's an outrageous haul that they've gotten for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, so they will still have 2 ones
this year.
Next year. They will still have
and next
year because they will have Houston's 2022 one and San Francisco's 2022 one. They traded their own one. So they will still have 2 ones next year. Miami will.
And they picked up a 2020. No, the San Francisco one they got was 2020. Oh, yeah, and they have a 2023. They have 2 in 2023 as well.
So they'll have 2 ones this year, next year, and 2023.
I believe that's right.
I believe that to be right. That is a tremendous.
All from Laramie Tunsil.
Tremendous from Laramie Tunsil, yeah. Man, thanks, Bill O'Brien. That worked out quite well. I think the one thing that is fascinating about this, and I think about it you think about it all the time, is this notion that, and I saw somebody tweet this, the reason that there's all of this activity, because now at number 4, the Falcons kind of control the draft, because if anybody else wants a quarterback, they got to go to 4 to get it. Bengals pick at 5. So everyone's saying that Falcons pick has so much value now, whether it's Denver, New England, or Carolina. Somebody wants to go to 4, give us your best offer to go to 4 if Atlanta indeed doesn't want a quarterback. And I saw somebody tweet, well, it's because of the murkiness in next year's quarterback situation. I reject that because it's not like a year ago at this time anyone was going Zach Wilson or anyone was going Mac Jones. Mac Jones was in a quarterback competition
Yep.
at Alabama. Okay? Sure, Trevor Lawrence you could have saw coming. Justin Fields you could have saw coming. And there seems to be people that have fallen out of love with Justin Fields despite the season he had at Ohio State. And maybe he'll be the 5th quarterback, which to me would be a tremendous bargain if you could pull that off. But the notion that some quarterback's not going to emerge, Sam Howell at North Carolina is going to be at the top of probably most people's wish list next year. But there will be other quarterbacks that emerge that you haven't even considered.
Of course.
You haven't even considered. And so this notion that, we got to get a quarterback now because there won't be any next year, it's nonsense. There will be quarterbacks next year.
Always. And I think if you're looking at it from the 49ers perspective, and Mike Renner, who we've had on the show from Pro Football Focus, said it better, they're never going to be in a position to make a trade like this closer to have a small jump to get an elite quarterback prospect with Kyle Shanahan and that roster than they are right now. So this is the year you got to do it.
They're going to be picking in the mid-20s.
Yeah, they're going to be right. It's a lot different to go from 26 to 3 or 30 to 3 than it is to go from 12 to 3.
Yep. That's a good point out of him, that the jump for them is the smallest that it would be. And it's going to allow Kyle to pick of those 3 quarterbacks which ones he likes best.
Yep.
And there's a lot of guys close to him say it could be Mac Jones. Nothing really with Fields. It seems most of the smoke is around Lance and Jones.
Steve Palazzolo saying the Dolphins, this is the final accounting of it, the Dolphins turned Laramie Tunsil, who again, and now that picture is going viral, that is the only reason he was available to the Dolphins. I think they did pick him up 11th, I want to say, something like that.
Yeah, because he was, and that happened. Didn't that happen the day before the draft or something?
I think it was the night of the draft. I think it was an hour before the draft, like literally an hour before the draft. And it was one of his family members that did it, if I'm recalling correctly.
I think you have that right. Yeah.
He has now, the Dolphins have turned Laramie Tunsil from Steve Palazzolo, Pro Football Focus. Dolphins have turned Laramie Tunsil into 4 1s, 2 2s, and a 3rd.
I mean, that's how you play the game. It's a good job out of them.
If Tua is good, they're going to be great. If Tua isn't, they're going to be.
It's so funny you said that. I was just going to say that. If they hit on Tua, then they are set to challenge Buffalo in that division for a while.
Yeah. And
it will be a dogfight between the two of them if he's set. And if Zach Wilson, you think about this from the Patriots' perspective too. They were able to, for the entire Brady Belichick run, other than a couple years with Rex Ryan and the Jets, to feast on that division. Absolutely feast on it. And now Belichick is going to try to be competitive in it as those other teams. Buffalo's obviously very good already. If this Zach Wilson kid is as good as people think he is, the Jets are going to be good quickly. And you're talking about the Dolphins who, if they like Tua, that division could get really good in a hurry. In a hurry. And it's different waters for Belichick to navigate than he did for the 20 years that he had Brady. Certainly now. Wild Friday in the National Football League. Still so much more to come.
So much.
You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If your game plan for the season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services has you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/go Browns today. Look what you've done, Z.
Yes.
You created a social media moment.
Listen, you've talked to sometimes I end my interviews with very serious questions and get into people's emotions. And today I ended with a very serious question for Hollywood Higgins. And the question was, could the red carpet celebration from Tennessee be topped? And no more than 5 minutes after we were done conducting that interview this morning, Hollywood tweets, "Hey, at Baker Mayfield, I'm tweeting to see if you could top that spin move from the Tennessee game. Yours truly would." Because he implied in his answer that perhaps Baker Mayfield peaked as an athlete on that slide.
1 minute.
It's impressive.
Incredible. It's incredible. It's perfect.
The timing of it, yeah, it really is an achievement. It's a real achievement.
Twas. Yes, it was.
Yep.
You're going to be missed, brother. Go live. Go live. I'm going to miss you,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I want you to live.
Oh, just a couple of days. Might get a little tea time with the boys. Get the boys to play a little bit and take advantage of some nice weather. We'll see what we can do. Enjoy ourselves a little bit. We'll be back next week, though. Lots of fun on that front. The next level is coming up next. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks for listening. Cleveland Browns Daily.